Hello. That's a great way to start a conversation. Um, I'm Raj Law, as you may or may not know, and with me today I have the lovely Marianne King
Hi.
of of My Oh My TV, and today we are going to talk about training and nutrition when you're traveling because it's summertime, depending on where you're at, wintertime, depending on where you're at. You might be going somewhere. You want to stay sexy as completely possible when you're on the road, and I think we have a bit of experience with that.
Hmm.
I'd say, hopefully, I think we're pretty sexy, and we travel, so that works.
It
so
works.
we're so today we're going to cover a lot of topics regarding those things. So I'm going to kick things off to awesome Marianne here, just to share her experiences with traveling. She's done a fair amount of that over the past couple of months, and then keeping her training and nutrition in check while that's going down.
Okay, on to me. So I think my biggest my biggest tip, I suppose, and what's really worked for me very well is knowing in advance, obviously, when you are traveling, and this is assuming it's not just a last minute thing. So if I know that, say, in a month's time or month's time that I'm going to go for a trip to America or whatever, then generally I'll step my training up, make it more efficient, um, getting more bang for my buck before I go. So you're doing all your sort of heavy loading and stuff, and then you plan for that deload while you're away. So for me, I'll never really travel for much longer than probably a couple of weeks at a time. And generally, I'm going to visit people who are in the fitness field, so it's kind of handy because usually they know a good gym and they have stuff at home where you can train. But if I'm just being thrown in and I'm just at a hotel, then you're going to plan your workouts around what you've got available. And generally speaking, hotel gyms and maybe you don't even want to go to the gym, you're just going to have to do a body weight workout thing where you're going to be using a lot less weight. So it's a case of trying to step up maybe the intensity or focusing on other things while you're away. So moving better, maybe doing a little more core stuff and things that normally you wouldn't generally get much time to cover because you're focusing on your bigger lifts and things. Um, I would try to relax about it. So having a good mindset, not panicking, going, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to train. I'm going to lose all my strength. I'm going to lose all my results. Just because I've been away a few times and I can tell you that after you come back and you start back into your normal training again, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as you ever think. Would you agree with that, Roger?
Yeah, it's like building a house. It's like you build the house. It takes time. The strength gains you get are not gonna like go away overnight. So don't. I wouldn't even worry about it. Like you might come back a little weaker, but it's because you haven't been doing the
Right.
movement. So it's like it's nothing major. It's just like a week or two back in the gym, and you'll be fine. It worried me when I was away. I was like, oh, I can't squat heavy. I can't deadlift. But honestly, that was like once you're in vacation mode, you start to realize you're like, oh, okay, it really doesn't matter as much as I thought it would. Like
Mm.
unless you're competing or something, then that's a whole different issue. But I think the people that are listening to this are just more everyday people that are having fun on vacation and they want to stay active. So I think the tips you gave are great, especially with the body weight exercise and things like that, because there's so many things you can do as long as you have arms and legs, you're good.
Hmm.
So especially like I think you've done a series where you did a hotel workout or a couple
Yeah.
of those. So
I
that works. Mhm.
That was good. Actually, if you had like a TRX, that's really put in your suitcase. It's really light, and I have my jungle gym. I brought that with me. But at that particular hotel workout, I brought my kettlebells because we were just eating, so I brought like kettlebells with me, and I was able to throw together. They weren't really heavy ones because obviously you're going to weigh down the car, but able to get quite a lot done. I brought my interval timer, brought a band with me, things that aren't going to take much space, but you can still do different things with in an effective workout. And I think as well, you get to think outside of the box when you go traveling because um, I think what tends to happen for me anyway, whenever I'm at home, like most of the day, I'm probably sitting at my computer and then maybe I go to the gym for an hour and then come back. But see, when I'm on holiday, I usually go and it's the opposite. I'm hardly sitting down and I'm doing a lot more of other activities. So maybe hiking and going swimming. I'm walking a lot more. So overall, it's and you're chilled out and all. So it's actually got a nice effect on your stress levels. I actually end up probably looking better, even though I'm feeling better, even though I'm not training as sort of traditionally would. And I always come back. Initially, like Roger said, I mean, like you said, it was more, you do feel that the initial strength sort of, I don't know how to describe, like
drop off a bit.
Drop off a little bit. But then after you come back, you almost come back stronger in the end, because maybe you've had that time off, you've given your muscles and your ligaments and everything time to really recover, and you come back with that new motivation as well to get into it. So it's like that extra little boost when you get home. You just can't wait to get back into things and start doing things again.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. I wish I could say boost like you.
Boost.
Yeah, but that's so true. And I think one of the main things you have to do when you're on vacation is realize you're not going to be able to train the same way and just let that go immediately.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to go out of your way to, I mean, if you know where you're going in advance, you can usually get like a gym pass at a gym for free, or maybe a day pass or something like that. But odds are you're not going to want to restructure your whole vacation around trying to get to this gym and workouts. Honestly, bodyweight exercises, band exercises, things like that are super convenient, because you can just wake up, and before you even know you're awake, you can start working out, knock them out, and then you're on with your day. But I think one of the coolest things about vacation is like you said, Marianne, you're always moving, you're always doing something, so that automatically builds in more activity than you usually would have. Because I'm the same way. If I'm on vacation, I'm moving around, I'm hanging out with people, I'm doing stuff. But if I'm here, I feel like a blob. I'm just sitting at the computer pressing buttons and like, oh, I get up, my back hurts. I'm like, I need to do something.
Yeah.
So just keeping that in mind, it that kind of stuff adds up, because you're not used to it when you're back at home during the work week, where you're sitting from 9 to 5 if you're a typical desk worker or something like that. So those, you can burn a lot of calories just by standing up and moving throughout the course of a week. Now on the nutrition front, I think this is, yeah, oh man. I mean, we could
Did we just skip this part?
Oh, shame.
So that's it, the end. Bye.
And goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Thanks. Yeah, I think we have to talk about our experience.
Yeah, people who are my friends on Facebook ignore anything I posted, any photos of food while I've been away on holiday. They do not represent anything.
Disclaimer. The most important part of nutrition when you're gone is to, I say this in a very loving way, it's to not eat like an ass. So when I say that, I mean, don't go out of your way to stuff yourself silly at every opportunity. Every now and then, you gotta enjoy vacation, but you don't want every day to be like, let's see how much food I can put in my stomach. And I used to eat like an ass all the time. I felt bad. I'm like, oh, I'm not even enjoying vacation because I'm sleepy. And it's not even fun. So I said that in a loving way. It's just another way of saying, you want to make food a part of your vacation, but you don't want to make it the whole reason that you're gone. Unless you're going on a food tour, then, well, I'm jealous, and I would like to come with you.
Yeah, it's always the temptation is, once you're in holiday mode, is that you go to I don't know, like, you just want all the treats, you want to try everything, you want to try all the ice cream every day. You just do. But yeah. So what I don't know, like, what I've sort of been doing sort of on and off intermittent fasting for the last few years, and something that I find really helps on holiday is doing the intermittent fasting, because often, maybe you're on holiday, I don't know whether if you're in a hotel that includes breakfast, those breakfasts are banquets. So if you're doing intermittent fasting, you happen to miss breakfast, and then you're starting to eat at lunchtime, then I find that works very well, because you're avoiding that sort of major temptation, because I go crazy. If there's like a buffet, I'll go absolutely crazy. And there just comes a point where you're like you said, you just feel terrible, and you're like, why am I doing this to myself? But the last thing you want is just feel really sick and tired on your holiday, and it's not going to on one hand, you do want to enjoy the extra treats and things. It's not going to have a massive effect on your physique, but it will make you feel more fatigued if you are going overboard with the sugar. And what I find actually whenever I'm away in America, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but the food has a lot of salt in it, so you end up more bloated, and you feel more sort of dry and sort of dehydrated and things just from all the salt in the food. And so I have to up my water and just try to avoid things which I know are going to be highly seasoned, and try to ask even for less salt on it. Like, I've asked for things to come with no seasoning on it at all because I just want to season it myself, because I just know it's going to taste so salty. So from that point of view, that's sort of it's knowing how things generally affect you. So for me, I know my weakness is definitely things like ice cream and basically just ice cream. And anything like that, I should have just limit it to maybe a few times a week and not go crazy. Actually, the last holiday I was on, I was very good. I didn't really indulge that much. Probably because I was building up to going to a fitness summit. So I thought, I can't show up like a big pie. I'll wait
Hello,
till
everybody.
after.
I'm meeting for the first time. Do you like my carb face of all the? Oh man. So there's like you just highlighted, there's a good way to vacation and a bad way.
Yeah.
And I think we both have experiences doing it the good and the bad way. Like when you were here in the States, I think you did pretty good. You did pretty good. But I know when we hung out, I think we did. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about this. This is an example of what you don't want to do. You don't want to do. First couple of days were good. Meat, vegetables, good. Then all of a sudden, we thought it was a good idea to fit as much sugar into a day or two. It was supposed to be a day. Ended up being 3 as possible. I don't even think it ended up being fun after the first day. It was just, yeah.
We didn't want a marshmallow ever.
Or pies.
Oh.
You think when you're going into it, it's going to be a good idea. You're like, yeah, I'm going to eat this and that. It never ends up being as fun as you think it is. That's the key. And then you just feel like, so.
And we did nothing. Then we didn't even want to train because we were just so sluggish.
Exactly.
We knew we should, but we just couldn't do it.
And if we can't do it, it's like, man, there's no hope. And the gym was like 20 feet away.
Yeah.
We didn't even want to train. So.
It really just knocks everything off, and it's not worth it. Because you can, like, if you let it, it can completely ruin your results for weeks on end, like, or even a couple of months to try and get back on track. So I know a lot of people go away on a holiday, maybe they're going on a cruise or something, and they come back and they put on like it's like 28 pounds. It's like they come on back just completely a different person than went away, and then they're faced with having to sort of see that and sort of try to fix it, and often that can send you spiraling into the extreme where you're trying to undo everything, but you go about it the wrong way because you're trying to take shortcuts, because you're just like, oh, what have I done? And then it's like, oh no, I've been there. No, I haven't gained that much, but you kind of think, oh my goodness, what have I done? And that guilt and everything. You just want to try to avoid these things, damage control before it actually happens. So you're trying to think ahead and be wise about these things. So that's kind of why we're talking about this, because we've kind of been there and done pretty much everything.
Every crazy thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's such a great point, because you don't want to attach any kind of negative feelings to your vacation. You don't want to come back and go, oh, that was a great time, but I ate too much.
Yeah.
Because then the further you get away from that vacation, the memories kind of start to fade. But if you're still struggling with trying to get that weight off, that's what you're mainly thinking about. You're like, oh, I shouldn't have even gone. I started, and then blah, blah, blah. And then you get down on yourself, and that's not what you want. So one of the things I found to be really helpful while is to eat with friends. Don't eat alone, because if you eat alone, especially if you're something like me, you can eat a lot, and you will eat a lot if you're eating alone. But eating with friends, encourages conversation, slower eating, and then if you're, depending on what you get, I don't know, if I order a steak, I might not share with anybody, but if you get like a appetizer or something, you can share with like 2 or 3 people, and all of a sudden you're eating less and you don't mind because you're distracted with the conversation and good times. Yeah. Versus if you're eating by yourself, you just eat a lot faster, and you're more likely to eat more as well. So and it gives time for your body's like natural hunger signals to kick in and go, all right, you've had enough. Let's shut this down. And it just makes it a much more enjoyable experience versus focusing everything around the food. So instead of, you know, going to like an all you can eat place, you can go get some ice cream and share it and just talk or something like that. It just makes it a lot more fun, I think.
Did you find when you were away that you were eating out all the time, or was there opportunity to have the choice of, if you were with friends, were you cooking and doing your own type of thing, or was it?
Yeah. Luckily, both instances where I've traveled, I've been able to hang with fitness people. So we cook often, but we do go out, which is good. But if you can, like if you do have the option to cook for yourself, it makes sense to do it. It's a bit cheaper, and you can control things a bit more. You don't have to be super strict because you're on vacation or holiday, but the more variables you control, the less you have to worry about when you go out to eat, which is cool. So mainly the best thing is to do is just mainly stick to protein, fruits and vegetables, and then go out for your treats. You don't want to buy treats and bring them back to the place because then that's when the trouble starts. You wake up in the middle of the night maybe, there's pie, you're eating it in the dark, filled with shame. I don't know about that. It wasn't me. But somebody I knew. Oh man, it was me.
Cinnabons.
Maybe, perhaps. Oh, that was the worst. I ate, yeah, it's a shameful moment. I ate a Cinnabon at 1 in the morning in the dark. You know how bad that is? And the person I was staying with was asleep, so I tiptoed to the freezer to unravel the plastic wrap, and then, and I think I woke them up, and I'm just like, am I that guy that's eating a cinnamon roll at 1
You
in
are.
the morning, waking people up? Yes, I am. It did not me, but I was like, I should reconsider this next time. So, the thing is just eat out of the house for those treats because then you won't be, as likely to splurge or go crazy if you bring it back to your home base.
That's a good point. Because, and as well, like when you buy things and bring them home, usually they don't come in ones. They generally come in packs. So you end up bringing a pack home, and then with the very well-placed intention to eat just one, and then it turns into all of them in the middle of the night. But no, that's true. And for me, when I'm away, I don't know whether everyone's like this or whether it's just like a cultural thing, but then when you're in holiday mode, then you drink more alcohol as well. So it's about limiting that too. I mean, I would probably have maybe a glass, with dinner or something like that, and maybe another half glass or glass after that. So maybe not every night, but like most nights to be honest. But you have to consider in the whole scheme of things on how the alcohol is going to affect things too. So maybe you'd swap in having a glass of wine instead of something else. So instead of having fries with your dinner, maybe you have a glass of wine instead. So I'd much rather probably have the glass of wine than fries. So that's sort of something to consider as well.
That's a huge point actually. It makes it's like a way of saying choose your battles to a certain degree. So
Yeah.
don't eat crappy food. Like eat the stuff you really want. Like you'd much rather. I think 10 times out of 10 have wine over fries.
Hmm.
Yep. So that's not a that's not a bad choice. You can go okay. I'll say no to this other stuff that may be delicious on some level. Rather have the wine versus trying to have both and then feeling like okay well. I shouldn't have done that in the back of your head because there's always that battle in your head. You're going, oh, should I be eating this? Because and I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I'd rather not eat all day and then have like fries and a steak and something sweet just to like okay, that made me happy and you have to pick your sacrifices because it's a trade-off. You can't have everything you want all the time.
That's,
Like I want to eat all I want, but I want to look good too. I don't want to gain any weight, and I want to come back looking better than ever. It doesn't happen that way. So you do have to sacrifice a little bit, but you can choose it. And I think it's a good lesson to learn while you're on vacation because once you can learn that once you're out of your element. Once you get back home, it makes it a lot easier to jump back into things.
yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point as well. Sometimes it's really hard to switch back into that normal mode because you're like, oh, I want to be in holiday mode still. I want to still enjoy all these treats and this. But then, you're maybe just going back to, your stressful job and everything. And, it's those things are going to make it more difficult for you to accept that you're not on holiday anymore. And sometimes you want to remain in that denial and continue with all of this other stuff while you come back. That happens to me. I have post-holiday blues whenever I come home from places, so it's just really hard for me to get back into things. Mostly in terms of diet, it would be the biggest area that I would trip up in. Trainings generally comes from another place, so whereas diet, is something that I've always kind of struggled with, sort of having that sort of self-control over things when it comes to yummy food.
It's too good. It's you want it in your face.
Everyone's hopefully we're not the only ones who are might struggle with these things from time to time, but it's definitely good lessons that we've learned over the last years that we've traveled. And another thing I definitely try not to do is eat on the airplane. I do not eat on the airplanes.
That goes back to only eating good calories because it's
not good. Like, I'll just try to, plenty of water and sleep and stuff. It's not going to do you any long-term harm if you're fasting for 7 hours or even 14 hours. It's not ideal. So just even just bring a piece of fruit on board, or if you're allowed to, or buy fruit if they have it, something like that. Probably more so than the crappy food that they give you on the plane.
Yeah, definitely. I know that. Yeah, it's just not, like you look at people eating it. It's like, man, that looks kind of lame. It looks like it has a lot of calories too. I don't want to waste them.
Yeah.
So one thing, like I'm not sure about international flights, but I know domestic flights you can usually bring your food on a little bit. I brought some steak on the airplane. I was that guy. They brought out. They're like, oh, would you like some chicken something? I'm like, no, I'm good. And then I just pull out this like baggie of steak, just because, man, I'm like, that's a 6-hour flight. I'd rather be eating steak than not eating steak. And that's a strategy too, because if you eat on the plane, there's this joke about Louis C.K. He did on Cinnabons, or just eating out of the airport or after the airport. It's like you get off a flight and then you eat the worst food you can right once you get off the plane, when you're probably like 20 minutes from where you want to be. So instead of just waiting, you just eat the worst thing ever and feel like a bag of crap. So, eating in the airplane could be a strategy for some people to kind of settle their stomach down before they, get off the plane and they're surrounded by all these different food choices that may make them go a little crazy. So just something to consider for people out there that like to eat on the plane, such as myself. Mm-hmm. And people will be jealous if you bring steak because they don't have it.
I'm sure. That's funny. I can't believe you did that.
That's how I roll.
I think that's all.
I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I've got. Hopefully I'll learn more along the way, but...
Yeah, I think that's enough to get people started. And it's just, the final thing I'd say is just be aware of what you're doing. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself to be perfect or super strict while you're on vacation or holiday, because the point is to enjoy yourself. And 9 times out of 10, if you just stick to some of the things we said, and you're out with friends, and you're having fun, and you're making activity the main focus of your travels, you'll come back in better shape, or at least in the same shape than when you left, and it'll surprise you. And I think a lot of it has to do with just not stressing, because we gotta chill. It's so easy to just get caught up in. Honestly, it's weird. I did a photo shoot before I left, and then I came back 3 weeks later in better shape, despite eating and my face off. But it was good stuff, and I basically kind of knowingly followed these rules. And then once I got back, that's when I put on 10 pounds, because that's apparently how I roll.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, good points. Good points.
Word up. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yes.
No marshmallows today, though.
No, that's disgusting.
No more marshmallows ever.
Ever. I'm done with them for good. But, speaking about workouts, if you're listening to this, watching this, doing whatever with this, please check out Marianne's site, myomytv.com. or like a ton of travel workouts. If you got a kettlebell, you got something for them. If you got just your body weight, you have a ton of workouts for those. I know I've done a couple, and they kick your butt. You feel good about yourself when you're done,
Hmm.
and you just want to eat a little bit. So,
Reward.
all right, but that wraps it up. Any final words of wisdom?
No, don't be
Or
scared to travel. In fact, it's good for you. Come back looking better.
damn right. All right, I think that's it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having yourself. Boom.
Bye.
Wait, oh, does that stop? Or do we still record? Oh, it's still
Well,
recording.
it still technically records, but
Oh,
I'll just cut it off at the end.
okay, cool.
I'll be like,
Awesome.
snip.
Snippety snip. Awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And it's good to see you. You look leaner. See? Bam.
Do you think so?